Hello, 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 and welcome. It's your boy E here, your man, your main man. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a pretty good show for you today. No, not pretty good. We have a great show for you today. We're going to review what happened on Monday Night Raw. We're going to also talk about WWE, NXT, future storylines, especially kind of go over some of the stuff that happened at Stand and Deliver. We're then gonna kind of meet in the middle for that third segment. We're going to talk about historic WWE title reigns. I have 10 guys that are like absolutely like they're amazing, and that's the reason why they're like Hall of Famers in just wrestling, not just the WWE Hall of Fame, but I'm talking about just wrestling as a whole, professional wrestling, which is pretty cool. Now we're gonna cap it all off with my wrestling news round robin or my roundup, all right? Just to kind of tell you guys all the crazy stuff that's happening in the sports entertainment business. But before we move on, we're going to go ahead and talk about tips and donations. Guys, I want to hear from you. I want to talk to you. Let me talk to you. We get a number of questions from the viewers that come during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it, so we can talk. We can have a nice back and forth conversation. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you want me to further elaborate on. The power's in your hands. The power of the people, baby. Power of the people. And just leave a positive review. We love peace, love, and positivity at the GSMC Podcasting Network. It really helps the show, guys. Again, the link is the gsmcpodcast.net. So without further ado, um, we're going to start off with our first segment, which is going to be da, 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 Monday Night Raw review. Review. This is the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. Obviously, it's gonna be pretty big. Probably a lot of surprises and stuff like that. And I was surprised, and a number of times during the show. So I think they did their part. Monday Night Raw kicked off. You had Triple H come out, the King of Kings. He addressed the new era of WWE. He essentially said thank you to the fans, the WWE universe, which is which is kind of like the right thing to do. So far, Triple H or Paul Levesque has been, very, very good when it comes to, kind of sticking up for the company, being that like chairman, so to speak, since the whole thing with Vince is kind of going, but I don't know. Paul, he's doing an amazing job. He's doing something that a lot of people probably in his shoes wouldn't be able to do, is kind of distract the pro wrestling fans from that distraction from those allegations, just that negative publicity around the company. So kudos to him. But he introduced a new era, and indeed it is going to be a new era, especially with Cody Rhodes. He introduced Cody Rhodes, leading them into the new era, kind of like what he did with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Um, Triple H also he acknowledged Roman Reigns' title reign, which was absolutely like magnificent. Big round of applause right now for Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. You at home, if you want to clap, you can clap. If it's like late at night and you can't wake anybody up, you don't want to wake the kids up, then you know what? Still clap anyways for the tribal chief. Make sure you clap for that man. Don't you stop clapping. Don't you? I'm just kidding. But anyways, Roman Reigns, he had a 1,316-day reign. Very, 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 very impressive in the modern age of wrestling. That's kind of like unheard of. He won the Universal Championship at WWE Payback in 2020, beating the late great Bray Wyatt. He beat Brock Lesnar to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 38. Thus, then that's when he started getting the two championships. After 1,000 days as Universal/WWE champion, Triple H acknowledged, the Tribal Chief and his historic title reign of dominance, defeating people like Randy Orton, defeating people like Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, even if Solo Sikoa got involved. He beat a lot of, even beat Logan Paul, the YouTuber, the megastar. But Triple H presented Roman Reigns with a single undisputed WWE Universal Championship in May 2023, and eventually he ended up basically bringing back not the WWE. It was originally the World's Heavyweight Championship was originally like a WCW thing, but as soon as that came along, that was kind of like Raw's belt. So hey, that's pretty cool. Good for him. I wonder if that's speculation to be, if Cody Rhodes is going to go to SmackDown in the upcoming WWE draft. So, something to ponder around. But anyways, so The Rock came out and basically shocked the world. He congratulated Cody, and he said his father would be proud of him, his mother's proud of him, and it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Then there was that moment where they switched belts. Cody Rhodes held the People's Championship, and then The Rock held the undisputed Universal Championship, the WWE Championship. And it got a little edgy, but all in all, I think they wanted to really promote that The Rock, he's going to be back. The Rock is going to lead to film a movie about this historic UFC star, and he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the main character, and they said he's not supposed to stop filming until like August or September, kind of like around Survivor Series. If he pushes it, and I mean pushes it, he could probably make a return at SummerSlam. But honestly, I'm not really hopeful for the final boss to do that. But it would be super awesome if he did. But so The Rock announces he's gonna have a new story with Cody. This is a new era. This is the Cody Rhodes and The Rock. Like, this is our story. Like he said, he's coming back for him. He's coming back for that belt. He's coming back for Cody's legacy, and he's coming back for the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. And I think that's gonna ultimately lead up to like a Cody versus The Rock at WrestleMania 41. Or if something happens, maybe like a Rock versus Roman Reigns, where maybe The Rock has the strap for some strange reason, or if Cody gets injured, or God forbid we lose Cody Rhodes as our WWE champion. But I don't know. It's pretty exciting stuff to come. And The Rock basically said to not miss him too much because he's going to be back. So, he wasn't that like one hitter quitter kind of thing. He wasn't that one night stand, so to speak. So, that's kind of cool knowing that the final boss is going to make another run into WWE. We had Ilya Dragunov defeating Shinsuke Nakamura. I kind of really like this match because I have high hopes for Dragunov, especially, going into the WWE draft, which he announced he's going to do. So then, that kind of leaves the WWE NXT Championship kind of like wide open. Although I think Trick Williams will probably kind of go over with the company right now after defeating Carmelo Hayes at Stand and Deliver. So I can see Trick Williams being the new champion and Carmelo Hayes. They had that promo where Carmelo Hayes was like, imagine if our titles were two girls. You lost your title, I lost my title. I tried to get my title back, and then you kind of swooped around and tried to go after my girl. And that's probably going to be like Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. That this is going to be like a trilogy. It's going to kind of be like The Rock and the Roman Reigns. And so it should be pretty cool. It should be pretty cool to see. Um, so I'm excited to see what Ilya Dragunov does on the WWE main roster. So excited about that. So also we had the Judgment Day versus the Awesome Truth. The Awesome Truth had no idea who they were going to team with. I think even the Miz kind of doubted what R-Truth was talking about or what he was going to do, but he pulled through. He said it was a man you can't see, and it was true. You couldn't see him. It was John Cena. It was the 16-time WWE champion, probably one of the most impressive champions in our run. Actually, in the upcoming segment, I'm going to talk about his title reign. But so it was kind of cool to see that happen. Obviously, you see R-Truth as a huge John Cena fan. He mimics him. He emulates him. He's like usually it's like that kayfabe or that fourth wall where you as a wrestler, you're not supposed to be a wrestling fan, man. You're not supposed to root for your competition. But in the nowadays, new age of WWE, you kind of see the guys go out there and just be like, look, like, we all have our personalities. WWE's kind of limited, like the whole storyline thing, which I thought was absolutely like necessary because some of the storylines that during the Vince McMahon era, the Shane McMahon era, they were just garbage, absolutely garbage. It was just nonsense, like Happy Corbin. Like, what the hell is that? Like, who, like, Like, who cares? Like, where Baron Corbin was asking Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for money. And then all of a sudden he hits the jackpot. And all of a sudden I'm a millionaire. And I'm just going to just give money out to people and be a complete, utter jerk. And then, obviously Baron Corbin ended up going down to NXT to kind of revive his career, which he desperately needed. They should have never touched that Baron Corbin Lone Wolf, that character. But, I guess, you strike, you miss a couple of times. So you live and you learn, baby. You live and you learn. So Roxanne Perez came onto the main roster as well. She defeated Indy Hartwell in a match, but the match didn't really go that unscathed. You know what I mean? Like, you had Candice LeRae costing Indy Hartwell, and they're probably going to have a feud between them two, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm interested to see what they do with Candice LeRae, like, especially when they're pushing her to be a heel. They're really, really, really pushing her. So that means they probably have some plans for her. I don't know what. I don't know when. I'm just excited. As a WWE fan, as a pro wrestling fan, I'm excited. So welcome to the new era of Paul Levesque. Um, and then there was a little promo of Sheamus coming back. I know Sheamus is going to come back, but I wonder how they're going to implement his character. Maybe he's going to be the next person to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. That would honestly probably make the most sense. But I don't know. There's so many different. Now that Gunther has lost the Intercontinental Championship, you're going to see a lot of people going after that title. Now that Sami Zayn has it, and I'm not saying that Gunther couldn't perform and be a good Intercontinental Championship champion. I'm actually saying quite the opposite. That Gunther was too good. Sometimes, bro, you're too good, and you can't really be against some of the people like let's just say SummerSlam. Somewhere along the way, Ricochet finds a way to become the number one contender. Ricochet versus Gunther. Who's gonna win? That's a no-brainer, Gunther. But on the other hand, you have Sami Zayn as the Intercontinental Champion, and then Ricochet gets the number one contendership. Who's going to win? Oh man, that's actually quite unpredictable, which is something that I believe that Paul Levesque is trying to do. So honestly, putting the strap on Sami Zayn was probably the right thing to do. All right, well, moving on. Anyways, so Rhea Ripley tells Dirty Dom to go, check on your boy, like what the hell happened, and then she was attacked by Liv Morgan. Does this mean Liv Morgan's going to challenge Rhea Ripley for the world's heavyweight women's champion? I don't know. I think she has a pretty good chance of becoming the number one contender. I can see within the next couple of weeks on Monday Night Raw them kind of like doing something like that, where maybe Liv Morgan gets a second chance and she gets to quote unquote like finish her story, because I know that she kind of did that. I think she kind of ripped that off from Cody, but I don't know. I've done a podcast about this before. I don't hate Liv Morgan. I don't think she's untalented, but she can't hold the title. She can't hold the strap. I'm sorry. She's too small. She botches moves. She's not strong. She's not agile. And I'm not dogging on the girl, bro. Like, I think she's cool. I think she's talented. Obviously, I think she'd kick my ass in the ring. Like, that's not the point. I'm just saying that, like, we've done this before. Like, where she was fighting people like Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch, and the only way she won was because it was fluke. It was really, really fluky, or due to a disqualification, or just like something. And it's just, as a wrestling fan, like, I don't want to see that anymore, man. Like, I want to see these two contenders go at it. I want to see one person giving their all. I want to see the other person giving their all, and I just want to see a clash of talent that creates a beautiful picture, kind of like art, an art form. Wrestling, professional wrestling, sports entertainment, yet it's a complete art form. So, we shall see what happens when it comes to that when Liv Morgan gets the spot. So, Chad Gable and Sami Zayn defeats Imperium. They look pretty good as a tag team, but I think ultimately it was kind of like that thing where Chad Gable was kind of like, "Hey, Sammy, I gave you counsel, man. I trained you. I helped you get ready for Gunther. What do what are you gonna do for me?" kind of thing. And which is right for Chad Gable to do, the leader of the Alpha Academy. But honestly, I kind of wish that they wouldn't introduce it so soon, if that makes any sense, because Chad Gable's going to get a shot. He's going to get a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. And then, but it's going to be Monday Night Raw, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Kind of like, Sami Zayn's home territory. So this basically says that Chad Gable is probably going to lose, although it'd be interesting to see if he didn't. That to kind of create this like back and forth like match between Sammy and Chad Gable, which would be pretty dope. So I don't know. We shall see. So also a promo where Chelsea Green was begging and pleading um, Adam Pearce for her WrestleMania moment. And what can I say? Like, she went out there, and her guest opponent was none other than the Storm, Jade Cargill. And she got absolutely destroyed. She got jaded. And that match was probably one of the shortest matches in women's wrestling on the night after WrestleMania. So, I feel kind of bad for Chelsea Green because she's kind of like that, like not that joke, kind of thing, but like, I don't know. She's kind of like that punching bag. I often compare her to Alicia Fox and kind of how Alicia Fox was like, like that in your face, like where she wore like, scandalous things, and she just came out and she was like, oh, I'm Alicia Fox, like, oh yeah, and she would just torment her opponents and eventually get her ass kicked, and that would be the end of that. So I can, I kind of see like Chelsea Green kind of taking that role, and honestly, she does it well. She does it well. If whatever floats your boat, pal. Whatever floats your boat. All right, just to end it all off, we had the main event, the fatal four-way match for the number one contendership for Damian Priest's World Heavyweight Championship. You had Drew McIntyre, which was my pick. You had Bronson Reed, Ricochet, and you had the main event, Jey Uso. This match lasted pretty long. It was almost 20 minutes. A lot of just action, a lot of drama, a lot of high flying, mostly from Ricochet, who hit a 450 splash from the top rope onto the announce table with poor Bronson Reed waiting for him to just tumble on, tumble on top of him, which is, that's wrestling. That's wrestling. That was super cool. I was excited to see that. I saw Ricochet kind of land wrong on once when the announce table like broke, where he kind of got like hit in the ribs. I hope he's not injured. I hope there's WWE is still kind of holding that speed championship for him, because he would make an amazing speed champion inaugural. So I don't know. They need to find a way to keep Ricochet. Like, I know a lot of the times, especially during the Vince McMahon era, where Vince looked at the wrestlers and was like, hey, you impress me. But I think nowadays with the Paul Levesque era, Triple H, especially being a competitor, in-ring competitor over the years, he kind of knows what these guys are going through. And it's not like just because you don't get off the top rope and do a 450 splash, just because you don't suicide dive through the ropes, or just because you're not afraid to jump off of a 20-foot ladder. Like, that doesn't define you. Some people shine, some wrestlers shine in a different way. And that's completely okay too. And that's the reason why I feel like in this era, like Paul Levesque is kind of like, he's taking care of the talent, as opposed to like, he's catering to the talent, as opposed to Vince McMahon basically telling all the wrestlers like, hey, who's the better yes man, or who's ready to, like, to kiss my ass club. Like, but I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. And obviously looking forward to it. But anyway, moving back into the main event. So this had drama written all over it. CM Punk came out from under the ring to hold Drew McIntyre's leg as he was trying to perform a Claymore. Oh man, this is getting pretty heavy. That was Drew McIntyre's rematch clause, and he blew it. So now he has to start all over again. I doubt they're going to introduce it at Berlin, Backlash at Berlin. I doubt that's how it's going to be. But I can see them maybe fighting for a CM Punk Drew McIntyre match. Not a Backlash. I think that's too soon. I think CM Punk is still kind of injured, but he's just been trolling Drew McIntyre. Like, I kind of feel bad for Drew McIntyre. My moments last 5 minutes. And it's true. His moment did last 5 minutes. Then CM Punk had to get involved, hit him with the cast, and then eventually Damian Priest would cash in his Money in the Bank, ultimately winning the World's Heavyweight Championship. So, interesting to find out, what happens with that. But all in all, Jey Uso was able to pick up the victory. So now in the future, we're going to have a Damian Priest versus a main event Jey Uso match, which is going to be pretty cool. But to be honest, like, and to be all like, I know I give a lot of these hot takes, and I know I give a lot of these, predictions, but I kind of hope it doesn't go this way. Like, I hope they don't fight at Berlin or Backlash, and then Jimmy Uso gets involved again, or Solo, and then it just creates this whole Uso brother like fight. Uh, Maybe I would like to see a triple threat match between Solo, Jimmy, and Jay, but I don't know. Anyways, I don't know. I kind of want to see a clean match. I just want to see what Jimmy does under the lights. That'll be a pretty good, expectation, or a pretty good, moment to kind of be like, hey, like, is Jay Uso really main event worthy? Is he really WWE Championship or World's Heavyweight Championship worthy? Or is he like, United States or maybe Intercontinental, which isn't bad, I'm not trying to discredit those prestigious championships. So I don't know. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with that. So, yeah, I hope you guys like my Monday Night Raw review. Next, don't go anywhere. We have our WWE NXT preview. We'll talk a little bit about the episode that's airing, I believe, like right now, and talk about Stand and Deliver and a couple of future storylines and a couple of future matches. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of talk about what we have held before in our segment number one. We talked about the WWE Raw preview, a little bit about Sami Zayn's Intercontinental Championship run, and how long it's really going to last, especially with people like Bronson Reed, Ricochet, maybe a couple of people who are going to come back into the WWE, like Keith Lee or like Aleister Black. And try to get him for that championship for the Intercontinental. We also talked about a little bit about the main event, about Drew McIntyre's feature with CM Punk, and the main event with Jey Uso and Damian Priest, which is coming up pretty quick for the World Heavyweight Championship. But before you guys go anywhere, I want to remind you guys that to use the tips and donations link, we get a number of questions from the viewers that come during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you to use the tips and the donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions on top so we can talk about it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what, some things you notice about wrestling that maybe you want me to talk about or that you want to talk to me about. I'm absolutely open to, anything that you guys have to say. Just put your questions on top of the list. It really helps the show. Leave a positive feedback at the GSMC Sports Network. We love peace, love, and positivity, baby. And again, the link is the gsmcpodcast.net. So, yeah. All right. So let's move on to this segment number 2, which is called the WWE NXT preview. So, okay, we're going to get started with the NXT Stand and Deliver. Kind of much like WrestleMania was for Raw and SmackDown. This is kind of going to be like, kind of hitting like the restart button. Like, you're going to have new champions crowned. You're going to have new storylines developed. You're going to have new rivalries, new alliances. And it's just, it's going to be super awesome. And, we're in a good, wrestling fans, we're in a pretty good era right now. So get hyped. But let's get on into it. We had NXT Stand and Delivered. Started out with Shawn Spears versus Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy was this was actually a pretty good match. Shawn Spears looked like he had most of the control during the match. You had the perfect 10. Shawn Spears. Well, now I guess he's the chairman because he always brings out the chair, which he established in I think he did that in AEW or TNA. I'm not sure. But then you had Joe Gacy being, he was attacked by Ridge Holland. And I kind of had speculation about that. Once when I mentioned Ridge Holland taking a step back, I was like, okay, maybe it is a publicity stunt where he's pulling like a Shawn Michaels, where he's like, oh, I want to go somewhere to fix my smile. And obviously, hey, it worked. And now you're going to have a Joe Gacy and perhaps a Ridge Holland feud. But then you also can see like Shawn Spears got into the head of Ridge Holland. Like he got him to kind of, break again. Ridge Holland to break. So Shawn Spears is probably going to be, introduced, or he's going to be involved in that storyline. So should be pretty cool to see, you know. And Ridge Holland is actually expected to be on tonight's at WWE NXT on the USA Network. So, you know, totally awesome. If you're not already watching it, I'm kind of excited to watch it. Next, we had the tag team match. The NXT World Tag Team Champions, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, defeated Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And it actually started, it started promising once when Axiom and Frazier went out there and took the fight to Braun and Baron. There was a time where you're like, oh, okay, like maybe these guys can do it. Because me as a wrestling fan, I see Breaker and I also see Corbin. I'm like, man, these are two singles guys. They're just waiting for a good tag team to dump these belts off of, so they know that the NXT World Championship like matches are going to be watched and going to be marketed pretty well. So it started pretty good. It was a good fight, but Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin ultimately like overpowered Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And I'm reading in the comment section, I see Dundee is a hot take. Nathan Frazier is the next Seth Rollins, kind of like similar moveset. And to be honestly, I think that's nail on the head. I see Nathan Frazier as since he didn't win the tag team championships in NXT, maybe he's going to be in the WWE draft. That would make a lot of sense if he went there, because Seth Rollins is going to be taking a hiatus. I'm going to actually get into that with our WWE news roundup. But Nathan, he's special. He's very special. And he could definitely take the fight to any competitor in any kind of division, at any show. He could be United States champion, Intercontinental, WWE kind of pushing it, World Heavyweights. But hey, like you may never know. And with Money in the Bank, a pay-per-view coming right around the corner, they have to find a new person that they're going to give the Money in the Bank briefcase to. So, should be pretty interesting to find out what happens with that. So next we have the North American Championship, where you had Josh Briggs versus Obafemi and Dijak. And Dijak, I guess this is his, I think they said his 6th or 8th attempt at the North American Championship. But he gave it all. He really gave it all. I'm kind of surprised that Obafemi was able to kind of pull this one out, despite the fact that Josh Briggs looked very, very good. He looked amazing. Like he controlled most of the match. And if it wasn't, he was just seconds away, but Dijak had to get his foot on the rope, and Obafemi had to get that get that aggression and get that ruthless aggression, and he was able to ultimately get the championship match won. But man, Josh Briggs, inches away, seconds away. There's no doubt in my mind that he's probably gonna maybe fight for another rematch. I would honestly, as a WWE NXT fan, I would love to. I would kill to see that. That'd be freaking awesome. Next, you have the promo of Ava, the general manager for NXT, unveiling the new WWE Women's North American Championship. So within the next couple of weeks of NXT, you're going to see kind of like a tournament, going down, kind of like what Ring of Honor had with their Women's Television Championship. But it's good. It's gonna be amazing, especially you have that new wrestler, the women's wrestler that was signed from New Japan Wrestling. I think Julia from Stardom, and she's gonna be, I would probably, my best bet would be probably putting the strap on her. But you also have other, girls, like you had Thea Hale, who actually put on a pretty darn good match. You have Sol Ruka, that's also there. And who's that? Davenport. She's pretty good. She's very good as well. And then you have also Lyra Valkyrie, who lost her championship to Roxanne Perez, which we're going to talk about right now. So I kind of felt bad for not Roxanne. I kind of felt bad for Lyra. She ultimately, she had some underlying injuries. I know she was the one who made the challenge, and that's kind of what you get, dude. That's kind of what happens when you try to prove yourself to be like a total badass. But sometimes, your confidence level is up here, and your body, like actual body consent, is like right here. Kind of like, sometimes your eyes are bigger than your stomach. When you go to an awesome restaurant, or you go to Applebee's or like TGI Fridays or whatever, and you're like, oh, I really want an appetizer. Oh, some mozzarella sticks. Ooh. And you just overindulge yourself with the mozzarella sticks and you like drink like 7 sodas or like a couple beers. And then like all of a sudden the main course comes out and you're like at first you're like, oh, thank God my food's out. Like that was forever. Totally being a Karen. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like and then like your food comes out and then sometimes you need that doggy bag. Sometimes you need to take it home because you can't handle it all, man. You can't do it. And if you do, you're probably, gonna upset something in your digestive system, in your body. But anyways, moving along from this metaphor. Lyra Valkyrie just put too much on her plate, and she's probably due for a WWE Women's NXT title run again if she doesn't decide to implement herself into the WWE draft, which Roxanne Perez has already had. So that's going to leave the title maybe vacated or maybe her, losing at an upcoming pay-per-view. But I don't know. We shall see what happens with that. It was a pretty good match, though. It was very, very good. But it was ultimately dominated by Perez. The NXT Championship, Ilya Dragunov defeating the Don, Tony D'Angelo. D'Angelo, it was a pretty good match. His family came out and eventually, he got his butt kicked. And there was a time in the match where one of the guys offered to get involved. But Tony D'Angelo wasn't having that, man. If I can't win a championship clean, I don't want a championship reign at all. That just means I'm not ready, which is absolutely totally cool. That's something you should admit. Some people can't admit their limits or abilities and stuff like that. So then they do things that where it's absolutely way in over their head. But I like the match. Honestly, I can kind of see D'Angelo as soon as Dragunov gone go for that championship again. I think he would represent the WWE NXT, the men's division, very, very well. So, don't count D'Angelo out, so soon because good things are coming. Like I said, Ilya declared himself for the WWE draft. So, we shall see what happens with that. Our main event, we saw Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes finally go at it. The best friends, the brothers, tag teaming. And, like we've mentioned before in the podcast, once when, partners turn against each other, it just creates for amazing and just entertaining as hell content, which this was. It was a good match. Trick Williams pushed the limit. There was a couple of times where I was like, oh man, like maybe Carmelo Hayes is out of Trick Williams is out of his class or what is out of his division. And I was like, man, I would like to see Carmelo Hayes fight for the championship. But then Trick Williams was, he was able to, beat that Trick and ultimately, come back and show why he's probably going to make a run at the WWE NXT Championship, which would be pretty cool. He's over with the fans right now. He's over in the locker room. You can kind of see in his interviews with his coworkers that they support him. And someone has to dethrone that man, Ilya Dragunov. Someone has to do it. You kind of have that David versus Goliath where Ilya's kind of fought in everybody and kind of beaten them, even when the guys like Tony D'Angelo who are bigger than him. And then you kind of have Trick Williams, the underdog who stuck up for himself after he was betrayed on Vengeance Day from his best friend, his brother, Carmelo Hayes. So I don't know. Should be interesting to see what happens with that. I would like to see Trick Williams go for the NXT Championship, but I would kind of like to see, Tony D'Angelo, get that, that second shot. All right. So, our next segment is going to be Long May He Reign. I'm going to talk about historical WWE Championship title runs that I feel like every WWE fan or pro wrestling fan should know. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about so far. We talked about Monday Night Raw and Monday Night Raw review, where we, had a couple of speculations about who's going to be Sami Zayn's next competitor. Then we also contemplated if Chad Gable was if he's ready to hold the championship, or if he even has a chance at Montreal against Sami Zayn next week, Monday Night Raw. We also talked about Damian Priest and who's his challenger going to be. You had the Fatal 4-Way match where CM Punk ultimately cost Drew McIntyre the chance at the championship. So that should be, pretty excited to see. But we also talked about NXT Stand and Deliver, what you can expect out of the NXT, brand moving forward in terms of, who's going to dethrone Ilya Dragunov, what's in store for Trick Williams, and, where does this leave the Don, Tony D'Angelo, after this loss? Honestly, I still have some pretty, high hopes for the guy. So, anyway, so we're going to move on. This is called A Long May He Reign. I'm going to give you guys this historical champions that have, that have essentially been the reason why WWE is so great. Let's get on into it. Sorry, having technical difficulties. Oh, that's why. All right. So, all right, let's get started with AJ Styles. The phenomenal AJ Styles. He's number 10 on my list. He has a WWE title reign for 371 days, which is pretty darn impressive, despite the fact that, he came from TNA Wrestling. He held that company, together for the longest time. And honestly, if anybody deserves to be on this list, it's got to be, the phenomenal one. So, I'm glad to see AJ Styles. I don't want to see him leave, like I've, said before in a couple of podcasts, because his deal isn't done yet. And what they're doing with his character kind of seems like they're kind of heading toward that. But, I don't know. So we shall see. He lost to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ruined his reign. Not ruined. He won. But AJ Styles won the championship at Clash of Champions in 2017. So AJ Styles on this list with 371 days. So but tied with the man, also with 371 days, is why did he do that? The Macho Man Randy Savage. Like I said, 371 days. So he won a tournament at WrestleMania 4 in 1988. Although he was a champion, he was still in with the Mega Powers, with the Hulkster, Hulkamania, where they basically ran WWE, and it was kind of like that Rock and Roman Reigns feel. Like if The Rock ever came back full time, where he would challenge for championships, it'd be kind of like that same thing. You had two of these absolutely talented men who was totally over with the crowd. And I don't know, back in the 80s, it was fun to be a Macho Man Randy Savage fan, as well as Hulk Hogan. But ultimately, you have friends, and sometimes you gotta sometimes friends not stab the back, but I don't know. Ultimately, the Hulkster was the reason why Macho Man Randy Savage. Title reign ended. So, Next, I had number 8, I have John Cena at 381 days. Pretty impressive. He won at Unforgiven 2006. Honestly, if I had to give any credit to John Cena, it's not all of his accolades. It's not him going to Hollywood and essentially kind of being The Rock. But it's the fact that night in and night out, he was on the show. He was busting his ass. He was, defending the championship on Raw and SmackDown routinely. So that's something that you got to admire about John Cena. He lost to Randy Orton at SummerSlam in 2007. So with Orton, ending that streak of 381 days is pretty heroic. But like I said, John Cena deserves credit. He was kind of like my Roman Reigns, like where it seemed like he was always the champion. Although his reigns might have been short, the times where he won, obviously he's a 16-time world champion. So number 7, I got, the CM Punk, the anti-hero of the WWE. He had a title reign that was 434 days. He won at WrestleMania Money in the Bank 2011. And the best thing about Punk is that he's just recognized for him. He's absolutely himself when he goes out there. He's recognized for his in-ring, abilities. He puts on a pretty darn good match, and I'm excited to see him in the ring once again, although he's a little older. But, I'm excited to see that. It's going to be pretty cool. Also, his edgy personality, his straight edge, his kind of like, he's not afraid to say anything, which is kind of like, he had the pipe bomb and, him having the pipe bomb, which actually makes, tons and tons of sense. So if anybody could do it, it was CM Punk. But he lost to The Rock at the Royal Rumble in 2013, leading The Rock to fight John Cena and beating John Cena for the championship, which Punk wasn't really a fan of that. Next, we have the reigning, defending, no, I'm just kidding. No, at, let's see, we have 10, 9, 8, 7. CM Punk was number 7. Oh, shoot. Number 6, I have Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, like, you can't go to a person and talk about combat sports without talking about Brock Lesnar. Because Brock Lesnar, he did good things in UFC. He was the only WWE superstar who found success outside of the business, which is pretty good for Brock. He was a UFC world champion. Like he had the hammer fist. He was absolutely dominant for the longest time in the UFC. But his title reign was 504 days. He won it in SummerSlam of 2014. The best thing, Brock Lesnar is known for just being dominant in the ring. He's absolutely fierce. And he lost to one of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history when Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 31. All right. So next I have number 5. I have Pedro Morales at 1,027 days. He defeated Ivan Koloff in 1971, and he defended against the likes of Bruno Sammartino, Killer Kowalski, and Stan Stasiak. And you think back into old school wrestling and kind of like, obviously this was way before my time, but you got to still respect, the guys, even though you never really watched them. But it was 1971 to 1973 where this man was just absolutely dominant. So, just think about it. If you want to put it in retrospect, you see, how Roman Reigns was during this title run. And Pedro Morales was kind of like the Roman Reigns at that time. Like, obviously, you didn't have the flashy screens. You didn't have the flashy, technology you see in WWE now. But, and just in wrestling, he was able to kind of hold an organization on his back. Next, we do have our tribal chief. We have number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have Roman Reigns. Who's 1,316 days. He started in August 2020 at the Payback pay-per-view where he defeated Bray Wyatt. And he defended the belt in the likes of John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Edge, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, etc. This guy really, Roman Reigns has beaten the best. He's beaten everybody on the roster. I don't think anybody on the main roster can kind of be like, oh, I never lost to Roman Reigns. Because you have. You have. Don't you lie. Don't you be a liar, man. Why are you always lying? I'm just kidding. No, but Roman Reigns is absolutely dominant in this modern WWE era, and he's gonna be remembered forever as one of the most dominant champions. I don't care what you say. I know he didn't break Hulk's record or San Martino's or Backlund or Bob Backlund, and but all in all, I think Roman Reigns is the GOAT. All right, moving on, we have Hulk Hogan. We have the Hulkamania. He comes in at a number 3 as 1,474 days as the WWE champ, which he won in January of 1984 against the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden. Um, his title reign kind of ended in a controversial way where he lost to Andre the Giant, but thanks to a referee that Ted DiBiase hired, which was mostly like, kind of has that, oh, you got to screw him kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reason why that's the only way Hulk Hogan could lose his championship. And so he lost it to Andre the Giant in that controversial match. Hulk Hogan's known for being iconic, great. He's amazing with the fans. And he represented the 80s pretty well. When you think about 80s wrestling, or you go to like any 80s Halloween party, you're going to see some guy dressed up as Hulkamania. All right, number 2, I got Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund, the 2,135 days total. He ruled from February 1978 to December of 1983. That was his first occasion, and on the second occasion, he ruled from November 1994 to 1995. Wow, 2,135 days as a champion, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Like, I know a lot of these people right now, a lot of wrestling fans right now, they kind of never really saw how, the WWE Championship was just prestigious. And the moment that someone like Roman Reigns kind of went on a tear where he was 1,316 days, and people were like, oh man, I'm bored. I don't want to see this. But back in the day, this was normal. It was kind of like boxing where, the champion would defend all the time, and he would just rack up days and days and days, and it would just make for an unbelievable WrestleMania or like a pay-per-view, main event. Number 1, I have Bruno Sammartino, 2,803 days. This guy held the title for a total of 4,040 days. He was 11 years a reign. Imagine watching wrestling for 11 years. Where was I 11 years ago? Wow. I just turned 20, and John Cena was starting to get his push. Triple H was kind of the shit, or kind of the stuff. Sorry, excuse my language. And then you kind of had Dave Bautista out there, Rey Mysterio, and anyways, this guy did it for 11 years. That's absolutely nuts. That's absolutely bananas. Held the title for his title reign for 2,803 was from May 1963 to January 1971. And then his 1,237 days, December 1973 to April 1977. So some pretty good, exciting stuff for Bruno Sammartino. Long may he reign. Very, very good. So, yeah, that was one of the... Why did that pop up? That was one of the, the segments that I really was excited to talk about, because a lot of people don't know these historic title runs. All right, well, don't go anywhere. Next is my wrestling news roundup. We're going to talk about, news that's happening all over professional wrestling, sports entertainment. So, yeah, don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. Segment number 1, talking about Monday Night Raw, talking about what's to expect, a little bit of review, potential storylines. Second segment, we talked about WWE, NXT, a little bit about Stand and Deliver. We talked about Ava unveiling the new WWE Women's NXT North American Championship, so that should be pretty awesome. The tournament they're going to have a lot of young women talent on the NXT level, so that's awesome. And number three, we talked about historical WWE champions and their title reigns, and just how it impacted WWE today. But yeah, honestly, as a wrestling fan, you get super excited about stuff like that. So, honestly, I am super, super duper excited that we can talk about wrestling and stuff like that, and that just stuff like that just goes on and on and on. And wrestling is it's a religion. It's kind of like, it just gets you super excited. And I don't know. Let's move on. We have our wrestling news roundup today. So, just kind of cap it all off, just to something to kind of walk away with, is we have Seth Rollins as our first WWE roundup news. We have Seth Rollins expected to take a hiatus from WWE with a knee injury, according to Dave Meltzer. So he suffered a grade 2 tear of his MCL, and also a torn meniscus in January. So that guy's probably going through a lot of pain right now. I would hate to be him, especially after having two grueling matches: WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2. And then, just the match with Drew McIntyre itself was like, I think maybe that's the reason why I felt so forced. Because when I watched it, I was like, man, I feel like I'm watching a Brock Lesnar match. Because whenever you see a Brock Lesnar match, like Brock Lesnar, he's, totally capable of wrestling, and he's bigger than me, so don't tell him that I'm talking trash. I'm just kidding, no. But like every single Brock Lesnar match, it's suplex after suplex, and it doesn't really have any technical wrestling or any like choreograph. Like it doesn't really have anything like that. Whenever Brock Lesnar used to fight, it was like kind of like balls to the wall, complete and utter, like just brute force, fierce aggression. And I just, I kind of saw that in this match, and it makes a lot of sense. Seth was hurt. They had to get the match done and over with, and they were able to do that. Next, I have Damian Priest signs a new contract with the WWE. And Damian Priest was super excited about his new contract. He said, I got a new contract, I got a new belt, and he has a new entrance music. I know, obviously I don't want to, jump off a cliff being like, oh, he got a new entrance music. I can see some drama happening between him and Finn Balor. But let's talk about it. What if there's a Judgment Day Civil War? It honestly would make a lot of sense, and it'd be pretty cool. Like, I've been saying this for days, that it's so awesome to see some Finn Balor in that singles competitor, in that competition. I would rather see him, fighting people like Randy Orton. It'd be interesting to see him fight Cody Rhodes instead of, fighting in the tag team division against like DIY, The Awesome Truth, or newly, SmackDown tag team champions, and I hate it, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. So, I don't know. I would like to see it like a little bit of like a little flail between these two. And the Judgment Day has been around for about two and a half years. So maybe a breakup is right. Maybe it'd be good for both of these guys, Next, we have Roman Reigns post WWE WrestleMania 40. He finally, he opened up to the media. He took to X, and he posted himself walking on the treadmill that basically said, "Done. I'm done mourning for the championship. This is day one." Which means that Roman Reigns is probably going to make a comeback into the WWE, but obviously he's not going to right away. You can expect Roman Reigns probably being off of WWE television for probably the next, probably like 3 months, 3 to 4 months. Like, the guy needs to take a break. Like, he represented the brand for the longest, 1,316 days, man. That's got to stand for something. But Roman Reigns, as reported, he's not expected to make an appearance at Backlash or Clash at the Castle. So, as I can imagine people buying those tickets and like finding out that Roman Reigns isn't going to come, and you're like, like, what the hell? They're like, like, I know if I bought tickets and they're big arenas, they're absolutely behemoth arenas, I'd be kind of pissed. That's like going to like back in the early the late 2000s and go into like a Laker game and like Kobe's like, you know what, I'm gonna sit out today, and you're like, oh, what the like, it just sucks. But they still have a pretty good product without Roman. But Roman Reigns is just such an icon in WWE or professional wrestling right now that I can imagine, people getting a little salty. So it should be interesting. I mentioned this before. Our next headline, we have Julia has agreed to join the WWE. She has had a lot of success at Stardom, TNA, Ring of Honor. She was a New Japan Wrestling strong women's strong champion as well as the champion. So it's going to be interesting to see like what she brings to the WWE. I kind of mentioned before that she would make a great first ever WWE Women's North American NXT North American Championship, and it has been confirmed that she is going to start in NXT, and that's where she saw that's where publicity that's where they saw her in the crowd in the stand and deliver. So you got to expect that she's probably eyeing some of those talented women on the WWE NXT roster. All right, next news I have. Matt Hardy officially is a free agent. He turned down his contract with AEW, and it just kind of brings to the point where, well, it kind of brings up speculation that do you think he's going to come back to the WWE? Like, don't get me wrong, like I love Matt Hardy, I love Jeff Hardy. Obviously, I'm an Attitude Era kind of guy, but I think right now Paul Levesque needs to focus on some of your young talent and just kind of making stars of their own. Like if this was a Vince McMahon thing, Vince McMahon is just like, oh, like people like him because the editor, bring him in. Bring him in, bring him in. We're gonna get viewers. We're gonna get viewers and stuff like that. And like that's not the case anymore. Like it's to the point where like, yeah, us old WWE fans, we like seeing the occasional like legends or the occasional old guys from the Attitude Era, the ruthless aggression era. But honestly, we kind of don't want to see that anymore. And I'm, totally speaking on my behalf, and I'm not trying to put words in anybody else's mouth. But, as a wrestling fan, now you are starting to appreciate some of this young talent that's coming up. And you don't want to see people like Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and to be quite honest, I'm not trying to hate, but part of me doesn't even want to kind of see Shayna's come back. Like, somebody kill me. Somebody kill me for that's blasphemy. That's blasphemy. Tell me how you think in the tips and donations, the GSMC podcast.net. Tell me how you feel about me not wanting Sheamus back to the WWE. But no, in all seriousness, Matt Hardy, he paid his dues with the WWE, and I think it's, I don't think they should bring him back. And our final story is the WWE draft has been confirmed. Triple H said on Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive, that the WWE draft is coming back. And it's, usually the draft is a pretty big deal. I don't know if they're going to kind of like this year, they didn't really keep that strict Raw guys stay on Raw, SmackDown stay on Raw, only because Roman Reigns was the Undisputed Championship and he kind of held both titles. But I think they're kind of headed for the brand split, and I support it. I think it's going to be super awesome. I think it's going to make better matches for Survivor Series. And hey, you don't know who the hell is going to show up at the WWE draft. And there's been reports saying that Triple H he's not like all the other he's not like Vince McMahon, where he would just totally hate to bring somebody in that is an outsider to the WWF or WWE. And that's kind of exciting. That's super duper exciting. He's not afraid to break down that forbidden wall where you kind of have WWE and then you have AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, who constantly like they rotate guys. They rotate wrestlers, and they're like, oh, you can fight. Yeah, sure. If you want to take a fight in New Japan, that's totally cool. But obviously, you saw it in the Royal Rumble where you saw Jordan Grace come in and fight in the women's 2024 Royal Rumble. So for the WWE draft on April 26th is going to be SmackDown, and then on April 29th you're going to have Monday Night Raw. Like I said before, you have Ilya Dragunov, and you also have Roxanne Perez. Both NXT stars have been confirmed. A lot of people have speculations that maybe Trick Williams is going to throw his name in the hat, or Carmelo Hayes. But like I mentioned before in the podcast, I kind of think that they're going to have that, that trilogy, that match, back and forth. One of them wins the championship, the other one fights the other one for the championship. And I can kind of see that happening. Also, MJF has not been reported in AEW, not yet, or has signed a contract. So there's a lot of there's a lot of wrestling free agents right now that, you can kind of speculate like them having a chance to come back, like kind of like Matt Cardona, like, formerly known as, and not Alex Ryder. Oh my God, what was his name? Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder. Like, we all know that Matt Cardona, like, he's married to Chelsea Green. So obviously, he's at the WWE events every single time he has extra time. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then you also had Jordan Grace that she made it, like I said, she made an appearance at the Women's Royal Rumble in 2024. She also has stated online that she wants to have a match with Natalya. And Natalya, she expressed her gratitude on X, saying that if I honestly, I kind of want to fight Jordan Grace. Like, that would be pretty awesome to test my limits against her. And Jordan Grace responded, and she's like, hey, anytime you want to break down that fourth wall or anything you want to rip down, she used a forbidden door, which is, WWE stars fighting anybody besides WWE stars. She said, I'm willing to do it. So, don't be shy. We can do this. We can probably tear the roof off this joint and make for a pretty entertaining as hell WWE. Or I don't even know if they would do it on WWE. Maybe on Impact. If it was on Impact Wrestling, that would be pretty cool. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be. But hey, a guy can dream, I guess, right? So, yeah. Hope you guys liked my my GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Just remember to use that tips and donations link whenever I have a podcast going on. You can access it through the GSMCpodcast.net. Once again, thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button for the show, and leave a positive review. Leave a peace, love, and positivity, baby. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok, or Instagram for more content and updates. Remember, if you're not, if I didn't hook you guys on wrestling quite just yet, we have Sam with baseball, we have Kenneth with football, we have TJ with sports, we have Jeremy. Just it goes on and on and on. The GSMC Podcasting Network, sports conglomerate. Be a part of it, or regret, missing out on something that's truly, truly amazing, because this company is really, really amazing, guys. So, I think you guys will like it. I tuned into a couple of the podcasts before, and it's, very entertaining, very entertaining. If you want to get your sports scoop and you don't have the time to, sit your butt down and watch TV, or watch, maybe a simulcast on YouTube, like, you can also listen to it. Also, we have audio, so, but all in all, just be a part of it. Be a part of something cool. Thank you once again, and have a phenomenal day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.